bringing sports, entertainment, and technology podcasts together. This is SPNT.
Irish Impact is brought to you by Stitcher Smart Radio. Download the Stitcher Smart Radio app today at stitcher.com/SPNT. What's happening, Irish faithful? It's Irish Impact College Bowl Mania preview, whatever you want to call it, Heisman preview. There's not a whole lot to talk about because there's no games. It's odd. It's a weird feeling I have. It's this feeling of I just want the game to get here. January 7th is a month away, a long time away. But you know what? We've got you covered this week here on Irish Impact. Alongside Kevin Warner, I'm Nick Struberling. Kev, what's happening?
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. You know, I'm doing well. I know you're doing well. I mean, it's weird. No more football for a little bit. I mean, we got the Army-Navy game Saturday, but it's a long wait for the national title game. But things have been settled out. The BCS is all official now. Alabama 32, Georgia 28, and the Tide roll into the national title game to take on the Fighting Irish, and one that's going to be for the ages. It's already tickets are crazily priced. It's going to be a ratings gangbusters kind of game, and it's two perennial programs going for the ultimate prize. And let's see if our Irish can pull it off. But again, we got quite a ways away from January 7th.
Got a long time, and, you know, believe it or not, we're just 2 weeks from the bowl season kicking off.
That far?
December 15th, first bowl game's kicking off here, and we'll discuss that a little bit later. We're going to be doing a college bowl pick'em, courtesy of SPNT and Irish Impact. More details to come a little bit later in the show. We'll also look ahead to Saturday night's Heisman Trophy presentation. It was announced last night being Monday night, that our big guy in the middle, Manti Te'o, is a finalist and will be heading to New York alongside Johnny Manziel, the quarterback from Texas A&M, and Colin Klein, the quarterback for Kansas State. So either way, it sounds like we're going to have a first-timer in the Heisman ranks, whether it be a freshman or a linebacker. And, we'll touch on what we're going to hear about over the next 4 days. It's probably going to be the same stuff over and over again, but we'll certainly hit up on that here in just a minute. Just a reminder, you can email us. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at feedback@irishimpact.com, and give us a follow on Twitter. We're at Irish Impact. I know we've been tweeting a lot over the last couple of days. A couple Chicago Tribune tweets from our friend Kevin here, a couple retweets. I know you're a big fan of Brian.
Hey, I retweet anything I find interesting, and since we follow such a nice community of all the Notre Dame fans out there, it's whatever's interesting. And like with all this stuff going on, we can get into with especially the Heisman Trophy, and Manti Te'o wins the Butkus Award yesterday for the nation's #1 linebacker, and now he finds himself as a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. And really, as you said, there's three guys going. Most people speculate to be a two-horse race between Manziel and Te'o. So as you already said, it's going to be a first-timer at a position as a defensive player that has won it before. But Te'o is the one that's strictly only been on the defensive side of the ball, never been on an offensive snap, and he comes in second in the country in picks. And Manziel has all those numbers offensively, so it's kind of what your flavor is, offense or defense. But Klein, he's just there for the chicken dinner.
You think he has no chance? I mean, you really think he's? I agree, but
I think
for the audience out there, I think it's a little early. I mean, from all the hype over the last couple of weeks, it's pretty clear that he's there for the filling up 20 minutes.
Well, it's nicer the way the way they do it. They used to invite 5 guys, but now realistically, why have 2 other guys there that have 0 shot? So these are the top 3 that will probably get, and they'll probably all get first place votes. So I mean, Klein, outside shot, I suppose, but really when you're talking about everything you've seen leading up to it the weeks prior, he kind of fell off after they lost to Baylor, and that's when he kind of slipped out of the ranks. So we have Notre Dame's best player on defense, and we have the best statistically season of a quarterback from the SEC ever, and he's got better numbers than 2 previous Heisman winners, so it's going to be tough. And there's going to be a lot of debate, and throughout all this blogosphere and talk radio, podcast land, and everyone's going to be debating which one of these guys gets it.
Well, obviously a little biased here. We certainly believe that Manti Te'o is deserving of the award when you consider all that the award encompasses, not just on the field, but off the field as well. I think he's set a great example, not just for for other collegiate athletes, but future collegiate athletes as well, as a way to handle yourself through adversity. Somebody who's living 5 time zones away, he's got no family near him, to go where he went, to a cold state, somewhere he's not familiar with, and to see him persevere, I think is really cool. Again, that's not the reason why he should win the trophy. He obviously had a fantastic year defensively, second in the country in all positions in interceptions. I mean, that's saying something for a linebacker. He also took home, not only did he take home the Butkus Award, he also took home the Nagurski Award, which is the top defensive player in the country. So some more hardware for him. Now, what are your thoughts as far as comparing the three? Well, and let's just compare the two. You look at Johnny Football and Manti Te'o. Who has the better shot?
I mean, the way the Heisman Trophy is always laid out, I'd probably have to say Johnny Football and Manziel, because it primarily is an offensive award, clearly because a defensive player's never won it other than Charles Woodson, who was a cornerback, but again, returned kicks and punts, and also lined up as a receiver from time to time and got receptions throughout that season when they won a national championship at the University of Michigan. But, the way the Heisman Trophy just works out, I mean, you've got to think Manziel, because of the numbers, all the rushing yards and the passing yards. And that's one thing I talked about last week. I'll reiterate quickly here. It's just when it's an offensive award like this, even though it's not supposedly an offensive award, but quarterback like that, you can pad your stats as you get closer to the race, and you can kind of make things look a little better. As a defensive player, you go where the football is. You make the tackle if it's there. If it's on the other side of the field, it's out of your hands. But Te'o, as a leader on the team, and his journey at Notre Dame in general is just a great story. He was recruited by Charlie Weiss, and then he almost talks about last year he kind of got into it with the coaching staff. He persevered through that. The atmosphere changed. He's the leader on the best defense in the country. And you can clearly see his development throughout this time at Notre Dame, as you say, coming all the way from Hawaii and just getting better and better and having this team become so reliant on that great defense. It's a heck of a story. And Manziel, just being a freshman, his story is far from being written completely.
Right. It's tough to, and I've heard arguments for both that, just because he's a freshman doesn't mean he's not deserving. You can't bank on him getting it, next year or the year after that. I mean, we saw what happened with Tebow. He won it as a sophomore.
Yeah,
and
and
the next 2 years
he would win multiple. But
right, and it didn't happen. You could also be a guy like Andrew Luck, who we've known for 3 stinking years that he was going to be the number 1 draft pick, and yet when it came to the Heisman stuff, it never happened for him.
Sam Bradford won it as a sophomore,
right,
and then he never got another one. So when we talk about the freshman and it's all about he's going to get more shots at it, it's never necessarily true.
Right. Again, when we said this last week and the week prior that Manziel is fully deserving of the award. When you put up 4,600 yards of offense in the SEC, that's pretty impressive. But what I point to the 2 losses to LSU and to Florida, 2 very good defenses that shut him down. You also look at, there was another game they played against Louisiana Tech where they had to win like 53 to 49 or something crazy. It might even have been higher. I'd have to pull up the numbers. But that's a game where again, it's not his fault that the defense couldn't stop Louisiana Tech, the number 1 offense in the country, by the way, and is not in a bowl game at 9-3.
That's a funny story.
Yeah. So I'm again, we're obviously biased here. Manti, he has over 100 tackles for the 3rd straight year. He's like the 4th leading tackler in Notre Dame history, I believe. I have to again check. I love that I bring up all these stats, yet I have no factual information behind it. A good host would, pull up this information beforehand, but
well, that's a good host. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I never claimed to be one, right?
Well, I mean, he comes in, we talk about it. So is it just an award based on statistics, or is it an award based on the other dynamics that come into it? And that's certainly where Te'o would take a lead over Manziel just because of what he's done with this team. Notre Dame's best team in 20 seasons, playing for a national championship, a senior captain leader, and then the story with the ups and downs and the heartbreak, losing his grandmother and his girlfriend back-to-back, so close together, and then coming out and playing supposedly one of the better offenses in the country, Michigan, and just shutting them down with 12 tackles and 2 interceptions. I mean, those are games for the ages. We'll be talking about years down the line where you just talk about performances where someone steps up amidst, loss. And he's led this team so far, and every time they said that Notre Dame was going to be tested, they stepped up defensively, and it was always led by Manti Te'o. They made an interception at Oklahoma where they were supposed to really get thrown all over against, held Oklahoma to their second lowest home points total in a game to 13, and second total lowest in Bob Stoops' era at home. And then USC, they play the team that was preseason number 1, even though they had a freshman quarterback in the Coliseum with all the pressure to get to that title game. They step up on that goal line stands led by senior linebacker Manti Te'o. And it's just, again, Notre Dame fan here, Notre Dame podcast, Irish Impact, as we are. But when you talk about a player like Manti Te'o, he's just everything you embody in a leader and a great player on the field as well.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts because obviously, again, Kevin and I, we clearly are a little biased, as we should be.
And it'd be nice to get another Heisman for Notre Dame and break that tie they currently have with the Buckeyes.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Email us feedback@irishimpact.com. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you think he's going to win Saturday night. I don't think he will, unfortunately, but I'm certainly going to be rooting for him as he is, I believe, much more deserving than Johnny Football. And just to show you how good of a season Te'o had, when I say that, Johnny Manziel is deserving. And when I say that Te'o is much more deserving, that should tell you everything. But again, feedback@irishimpact.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the trophy presentation as well. No show next week. We'll take a couple weeks off here because of doing some Christmas stuff. But we will be back. We'll do a show just before the championship game, probably around January 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, we'll get that preview show together so we can break down that whole national title game. Again, so far away and so much time to contemplate, but plenty of time, again, for the Irish to prepare for it. It's just frustrating because week in and week out, it's been a wonderful ride, and now it's this lull that is the Christmas break.
Yeah, it's but the cool thing, though, Kev, is that just here in a couple weeks, we'll be watching a lot of bowl games.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll in just a minute, we'll give you some more details about our college pick'em. But again, reminder, you can email us at feedback@irishimpact.com. Give us a follow on Twitter. We are at Irish Impact. All right, let's do some shout-outs.
Shout-outs!
Kev, who you got this week?
I got to bring him up.
All right.
You go first, my friend.
All right, I give you a couple shout-outs this week. A shout-out to our buddy Jared. He started off the season strong, Kev. He sent us an email every week. He'd be in the chat room every week. But Jared, he's at Irish Football 11. Give him a follow on Twitter. He's a good dude. Jared, we hope you get a new computer soon so we can see you in the chat rooms again. It's been a while. Let's see, who else could we get here on Twitter? Reminder, you can also, if you follow us on Twitter and you want to be shouted out, hit us up. We are at Irish Impact. What else? You can email us, feedback@irishimpact.com, of course. Again, we would love your feedback. We love hearing from you. But, Kev, you got a shout-out?
Yeah, shout-out goes out to Jim Dowling. He's a friend of mine. He's a big Notre Dame fan. He's been in the chat room a couple times this season. He goes by Bones in there. Mm-hmm. He's a big Notre Dame fan. I know this is a great season for the ages. Him and his family, much like mine, really get into it. And he is the shout-out this week, Big Jimmy D.
All right. So, again, we kind of teased this before about the College Bowl Pick'em. If you're interested in playing, we'll go through and we'll do our predictions here in just a minute for all of the games, for all of the bowl games. But if you want to take part in our college football pick'em, we're going through ESPN. But if you're interested, it's $10. We'll split it up, 65, 35. I believe I have it 65, 35, 10 or something along those lines. That could change depending on how many people we get in the group as well. But
yeah, pretty easy to join. Just go to ESPN if you have a username there. If not, just register through the site. And our group name is SPNT Irish Impact. That's the group name.
Yep. You could easily get to that page through spnt.tv/pick'em. And the password to enter is Dr. Lou.
That's the best part.
Dr. Lou is the password to enter. Again, that group is SPNT Irish Impact Pick'em through ESPN's College Bowl Mania Challenge. Or if you want to enter and you're not sure how to get to it, you can always email us, feedback@irishimpact.com. It's $10. You can pay us via PayPal. So send us your emails if you want to join the Pick'em and you need to make a payment. Send us your emails again, feedback@irishimpact.com. We'll work on getting your $10 payments.
Yeah, and why not, right? Because, I mean, there's a lot of these bowl games don't exactly jump off the page, as it were, so why not make a pick? And we're doing just the straight winner, no point spreads here, so you just pick a team, root for them, and makes those next couple weeks where there's going to be a couple bowl games. Once they get going, there's a few every day, and why not? It'd be something fun to do. I know there's a lot of these bowl games. I'm unfamiliar with their history as bowl games, but I might just be unfamiliar with the name of the bowl game at this point. A lot of sponsors changing.
Changed, yeah.
Well, and the game's gotten obviously bigger over the years, too.
Right. Before we get into the bowl selections, I'm going to do a couple more shout-outs as well. I'm going to give a shout-out to Leland. He's at Leland Glisson, Glisson. Give him a follow. And, of course, our friend, the Irish fan and the whiskey fan, Matt Kraut, MW Kraut, on Twitter. Give him a follow as well. He's in the College Bowl Pick'em already. He's rearing to go, although they're minus a coach in Brett Bielema going to Arkansas.
Yeah,
that was kind of a surprise.
He's a Wisconsin guy, Mr. Kraut, but he does. His wife's a big Notre Dame fan, and he's impartial. He likes to root for Notre Dame unless they ever did play the Badgers.
And he would definitely root for us. Yeah. He should root for us.
Oh, for sure,
because we're better.
Well, if he doesn't want to sleep on the couch.
So, are you worried about Bob Diaco heading to Wisconsin, a la Barry Alvarez in the early '90s?
Yeah, it's a very similar parallel from what happened back then. Last time we had a really good defensive coordinator that took a job. Barry Alvarez still at Wisconsin. But Bob Diaco's been worrying me since this team's been so dominant. Ever since Oklahoma, I've been talking to you, I think off air more or less, just about someone's going to come after this guy.
Right.
He's the number one defensive coordinator in the country. He just won the award for top assistant in the nation. Yep. And guys that win that award don't stay assistants for long.
No, they don't. And it's inevitable, unfortunately. I don't know. I think that Notre Dame has the ability to pay him his money, as a top defensive coordinator. But it's tough. You have a guy who's probably got aspirations to, he wants to be a head coach someday.
And that's the thing. You can talk about zeros and, money, but what it comes down to is sometimes you don't want to just always be the defensive coordinator. You want to try to see if you can do it on your own, take the next step up. That's what all these coaches do. They start off, before you're a defensive coordinator, you're a defensive line coach or a quarterback coach, or, you kind of move up.
It truly is a carousel because the pieces all kind of fall into place. Nobody expected Wisconsin to be open. Now all of a sudden that puts other jobs into play. You got Auburn, who hired Gus Malzahn today from Arkansas State, so they're going to need to hire somebody. You know that Purdue needs to hire somebody. Boston College hired Adazio from Temple today. So it truly is a carousel, and finding these and then you got their coaching staffs moving and creating openings. It truly is, when you think about it, it is a circle, a big carousel.
Yeah, and that's what kind of fills these few weeks when there won't be any football without the bowl games before they start. All this kind of stuff goes down. And when you're the number one team in the country, such as the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team, your number one assistant is going to get a few phone calls. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we'd love him to stay, but that's one thing that comes with success is you move on.
But it's not just the fact that they're successful either. I mean, I remember back in 2002, a certain assistant coach on the Notre Dame sideline who was a wide receivers coach, being named the head coach at Bowling Green State University. That'd be Urban Meyer.
Yeah, whatever happened to that guy?
I don't know. I don't think his team's playing in a bowl game this year, though.
No, he didn't get his team to a bowl game.
Ouch. Sorry, Buckeyes. Okay, let's get into these bowls, Kev. There's a lot of them. We'll start with the first game on the 15th of December. It's the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl, featuring Nevada and Arizona. You don't have to break it down, but just give us a winner.
Okay, both teams in this one 7-5. I'll take Arizona.
Oh, that's a good pick. Arizona beat USC, despite Marquise Lee having over 300 yards receiving that day.
Pac-12's tough competition.
I'll go with Arizona as well. We should probably write these down, huh? Nah, that's what the
I got the interface open here.
There
I'll just
you
be
go.
Clicking through.
All right. The next game, the famous Idaho Potato, features the Rockets of Toledo and the Utah State Wolfpack.
Now, this is actually, I mean, if you
It
don't...
is the Wolfpack, right? Or are they the Aggies?
No, they're the Aggies. Nevada's the Wolfpack.
That's right.
You're already one game behind.
Ouch.
Well, this is an interesting matchup for people from where we are, Northwest Ohio. Toledo is, my dad went to Toledo, but Utah State's ranked. They're a tough
I will never
team.
pick Toledo, ever.
Yeah, well, I went to BG, but being just from the city, I'm going to take the Rockets.
Nope.
Hey, going with the glass,
I'm an Aggie. It only took me 2 tries to get it right, but I'm an Aggie.
Yeah,
you got me, Utah State.
You're a one-man wolf pack on that one.
All right. The San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. That's a very long bowl name. Features the Cougars of BYU against San Diego State in an old Mountain West Conference showdown. I'm going to go with San Diego State in this one.
Brigham Young nearly beat Notre Dame. They had a 7-point lead on them this year at the half. I'll take the Cougars.
Brigham Young lost to San Jose State, though. A very good ranked San Jose State team, by the way.
You ask me, and then you second-guess
All
me.
right. So you're going with BYU. All right. Now it's time for one of my favorite bowl names, the Beef O'Brady's St. Petersburg Bowl.
We really could have done a game where if I find out if these are real or not. The Beef O'Brady's?
Yeah.
Wow.
Who you got? UCF and Ball State. An old MAC. That's an old Mid-American Conference showdown.
I remember
right
when
there.
Central Florida was still in the MAC. They moved on, but I will stick with a little MACtion here, Ball State.
All right. I went for UCF in this one. Moving on to the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl featuring East Carolina and Louisiana Lafayette.
Pirates.
Wow, we're different here. I'm going with...
Even though they did just lose Holtz.
No, they didn't.
Fire him?
No, he was at South Florida.
Oh, you're right.
But before that, he was at East Carolina.
Yeah.
Talk about falling off.
Don't tune out, folks. This might get better.
Because Holtz, talk about... he was doing really well at Eastern Carolina.
Yeah, I guess...
Or East Carolina.
South Florida, though, he took that job and things just didn't work out. The ultimate guy that's fallen off the grid, just for side tangent here, people, his name is Tyrone Willingham.
Right.
10 years ago, he has Notre Dame undefeated, ranked number 3 at 8-0. They end up losing a few games, and then he goes to Washington where they have a winless season, and now I think he's just out.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. That's a good question. If anybody knows, emails, feedback@irishimpact.com. So you're going with East Carolina. I'm going with Louisiana Lafayette in the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Moving on to the Mako Las Vegas Bowl. This is taking place December 22nd. It'll be the mentioned Washington Huskies against the Boise State Broncos. This looks like a pretty good game on paper.
Yeah, Boise State 10-2 on the year, ranked 19. I will go with the Broncos.
I went with the Broncos as well. Next up, the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl featuring Fresno State and an old Hawaii mainstay. Well, now his name escapes me. He's the coach for SMU. June Jones. Yeah. There we go. The former Hawaii coach headed back out to the islands to take part in the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. Who you got?
I'll take Fresno.
And I'm going with SMU. I believe. Let me make sure I got that right. SMU. Yes, I got SMU. Don't hold it to me, folks. Jeez. All right, Little Caesars Pizza Bowl. This is a game that's near to where we live here in Northwest Ohio, taking place up at Ford Field in Detroit. Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, making their first bowl in school history, taking on the Chippewas of Central Michigan. I'm going with Western because my sister graduated from there. My sister and brother-in-law graduated from there. They're also located in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Wow, that's interesting because you went to Bowling Green, Ohio.
That's right.
Well,
so I'm going with Western.
Ford Field's a beautiful facility. It's a nice place to have a bowl game. Unfortunately, this matchup does not jump off the page, but since it's in Michigan, I'll take Central.
Over under the attendance compared to the MAC title game. What will have more?
All right. That's rough.
It's pretty empty there on Friday night.
The Big Ten title game didn't look like it filled out that well either on Saturday.
Well, let's not go there. So you're going with Central?
Yes, sir.
All right, staying with the MAC. Way to go. Another MAC team, our Bowling Green Falcons, taking on the aforementioned San Jose State squad, ranked in the top 25 now. 10-2 San Jose State team. Maybe it's 9-3.
It's 10-2.
10-2. All right,
Green,
right.
8-4.
Gotta stick with my gut. BG, a bowl appearance. This is the Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman in Washington, D.C. at RFK Stadium. I'm going, obviously, with our Falcons.
Yeah, I got to go with the alma mater and BGSU. Roll along.
Aye, Ziggy. All right, next up, the Belk Bowl, featuring two teams. Cincinnati may not have a coach. We'll know here in a couple weeks. Butch Jones, obviously, one of the most sought-after coaches in the country right now, taking on the Duke Blue Devils. This is not a basketball game. This is a football game. The Duke Blue Devils going bowling.
It's funny how these things always kind of work out earlier in the year. You're from Cincinnati. You've rooted for the Bearcats, and your Duke's been a punching bag when you make jokes about scheduling and strength of schedule. Now here they are taking on the Bearcats, but we got to go with Cincy.
Yeah, I'm going with Cincinnati as well. But watch out, Irish, over the next couple of years. If Duke and David Cutcliffe keeps doing what he's doing, I'm not saying they're going to be a factor in the ACC, but maybe you don't want to put them on the schedule, although you probably have to with their new agreement. Next up with the Bridgepoint Education Holiday Bowl. These names are awesome, I tell you what. Baylor.
Hey, someone's got to cut the check.
That's right. The Baylor Bears against the UCLA Bruins. It's going to be a bear fight in the bowl game out in San Diego. Who you got?
I'm going with Baylor. I really like the way they finished out the season. A couple weeks ago, they had to win out, theoretically to even be bowl eligible. Then they had the big win at Kansas State and kind of just took that momentum right into this one. So I'll take Baylor.
Baylor is on a roll, but you know what? UCLA is no joke either. Just barely losing the Pac-12 title game to Stanford, losing the week before to Stanford. They've played, Stanford 2 weeks in a row, two tough losses. I'm going to go with UCLA in this one because of their running back, James Franklin. A fantastic year for him, so I'll go UCLA.
That's a good matchup. I'll probably watch that.
Absolutely, a lot of offense. Mm-hmm. Maybe not a lot of defense in that game.
A little video game action, huh?
Next up, the Advocare V100 Independence Bowl. Again, awesome name. Another MAC team. The Bobcats of Ohio taking on Louisiana Monroe.
I'm taking ULM.
I'm going Bobcats, only because my co-host Mickey Menser from HoodayFans.com and Houday Weekly. An OU grad, so
I can't take MAC all the way across the board, so I'm going to swing out of this one.
Fair enough. Next up, the Russell Athletic Bowl in Orlando. This is the bowl I believe that Notre Dame played in a year ago against Florida State. This year it features Rutgers and Virginia Tech.
Rutgers, Scarlet Knights. That's my pick.
I'm going with Vatek. They had a rough year.
Very different.
We are.
Well, it's going to be interesting when we do the...
Can't wait to win your money.
Hey.
Next up, the Meineke Car Care of Texas. This game used to be played in Charlotte, now moving to Houston and Reliant Stadium. Minnesota, the Gophers, taking on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech.
This game's always worth it to watch just because if they still do it, George Foreman used to be a sponsor for Meineke, and they'd get him in the booth, and it was pure gold.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even the commercials were great.
They'd get him in there, and he'd be talking crazy, and it's good stuff. I'm going with Tech.
I'm going with Tech as well. Next up, the Bell Helicopter Armed Forces Bowl featuring Rice and Air Force.
No-brainer, it's the Armed Forces Bowl. I'm taking Air Force.
I'm going Air Force as well. The New Era Pinstripe Bowl in New Yankee Stadium. An old Big East matchup between West Virginia and Syracuse.
Orange. Cuse.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going with West Virginia in this one. The Kraft Fight Hunger Bowl in San Francisco, where the Giants play at AT&T Park. It's always fun to watch that bowl game because both teams are not seated, but they're located on the same exact sideline.
Really? Yeah.
Because of the layout of the stadium. It's always interesting to watch that game.
Seems more harm than good could come from such a thing.
But it's different.
Yeah.
So
it's like the basketball games when they put the benches under the baselines.
Right.
Yeah.
Very odd. Yeah. And it gives it a little character. But this game features, Navy and Arizona State.
I'm taking Navy.
I'm going Navy too. I think they're going to do a good job of keeping the ball away from Arizona State.
And it's ironic that, everyone, just to get a quick Notre Dame bid in, they say Navy was one of the weaker games on the schedule. They finished 7-4, and they're going bowling. That's how tough the year was.
They only played 11 games? That's odd.
Well, they play one this weekend, Army.
Oh, good point. So they'll be 8-4.
Most likely.
Chances of them losing.
They dominate that series
exactly.
the last decade.
That's becoming their version of Notre Dame Navy.
Yeah, well.
All right, next up.
Army's pretty busy these days.
Yeah, a little bit. Next up, the Valero Alamo Bowl, where the Longhorns of Texas will take on the Beavers of Oregon State.
Oregon State.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Oregon State as well, although this game being played in Texas, a little bit of a home field advantage for the Longhorns.
When in doubt, go with the Beaver.
All right. The Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl in Tempe, Arizona features the Horned Frogs of TCU and those disappointing Spartans of Michigan State.
Preseason ranked top 10. They finished the season at 500, and they're taking on a 7-5 TCU team. Where's this game at?
Tempe, Arizona. Sun Devil Stadium.
I'll take the Horned Frogs.
I went with State in this one. TCU, though, did have a good showing over the weekend against Oklahoma. Unfortunately, they couldn't pull out the win, but I'll go Michigan State. I think that for some reason in bowl games, I don't know, D'Antonio always figures it out.
Yeah, I mean,
Lots of time to prepare, too.
lots of time.
Next up, the Franklin American Mortgage
We've almost made it to 2013.
Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl featuring NC State, who right now just hired Dave Doran from the Northern Illinois Huskies, so they'll be taking on Vanderbilt, newly coached NC State Wolfpack. Vanderbilt may also be without a coach because James Franklin, also a hot commodity on the coaching carousel. But this game being played in Nashville.
So, Vanderbilt then.
Gotta
That's
go
a home
Vandy.
game.
Got to go Vandy. The Hyundai Sun Bowl featuring, talk about a drop-off.
This is a mess.
Going from the number one team in the preseason, USC, taking on a Georgia Tech team that just played in the ACC title game by default because Miami.
They have a losing record, and
Yeah.
they're still going bowling because they had a 500 record in the regular season, but they're going to be 6-7 playing in a bowl game. You might want to take that nap on New Year's Eve during this one.
He's going. You going USC?
Yeah.
USC by 40.
You think?
That's yeah.
Would Barkley be back by then?
I don't think Barkley will play.
Yeah.
Why? Why risk it? He's got a lot of stock in
A
the
little
draft.
something called pride.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think Max Whittick earned it. He played well against Notre Dame. Sorta.
Well, happy trails, Matt Barkley.
Next up, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. The Iowa State Cyclones and the Tulsa Hurricane. It's the Bad Weather Bowl.
Tulsa, baby.
All right. Going with Tulsa? I think I went with Tulsa as well. The Chick-fil-A Bowl. This game's always fun to watch. The ACC.
Now they're
and the
starting.
SEC.
Now we're getting into the good ones.
LSU and Clemson. You've got a team that's awesome defense versus an offense that is high-powered.
I like the LSU Tigers.
I went LSU as well. I think it'll be a great game, though.
That's one of the better matchups throughout the bowl season, besides getting into the BCS games.
The Tax Slayer Gator Bowl featuring the Bulldogs of Mississippi State and Northwestern.
I like Pat Fitzgerald and the Northwestern Wildcats.
I went Northwestern as well. The Heart of Dallas Bowl. Purdue and Oklahoma State. This is being played at the Old Cotton Bowl.
State.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Oklahoma State as well, although they may not have a coach as well. I've heard Gundy's name being rumored for Tennessee, at one point Auburn, but that job's now gone.
I don't know if Purdue will be able to keep up with them in that one.
Yeah, I'm going Oklahoma State. The Outback Bowl, another good game as well between the SEC and the Big Ten. South Carolina and Michigan.
South Carolina, Michigan. That's going to be a pretty good matchup. You're right about that one. 10-2, South Carolina, Michigan 8-4. But I'll go with the Gamecocks.
I went with Gamecocks as well. See, we're starting to come around on these.
Well, these are ones I've heard of. I'm affiliated with some of these teams.
Right.
I'm not second guessing you if these are real events anymore.
The Capital One Bowl in Orlando at the Citrus Bowl featuring a Georgia team that, despite only having 2 losses on the year, is kicked out of the BCS because of their loss in the SEC title game. I think that's a little unfair, personally, but Georgia taking on Nebraska, who just got their butts kicked by Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game.
Yeah, if you would have told me this was going to be a bowl matchup a week ago, I obviously would know they both lost their title games, but the way they both played in it, Georgia really played a well game. Nebraska got slaughtered. So I think Georgia's going to do that again.
I went Georgia. And as far as the confidence goes in our pick'em, I went with 34 out of 35.
I can't imagine Nebraska's defense. If they let Wisconsin look like that on Saturday, they're going to have their hands full with Georgia.
Absolutely. The Rose Bowl featuring Wisconsin and Stanford. A lot of red in this game. Sorry, the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. Not like it matters, but Wisconsin in there, despite Ohio State being 12-0, Penn State being 8-4. Not that they would have beaten Nebraska, but again, Wisconsin and Stanford, an old Pac-10 Big Ten game.
Well, Stanford, the Cardinal, I got to go with this one. That Notre Dame game, the huge stop against Stanford. Stanford probably 6 inches or however close that was from possibly playing for the national championship because they would have had 1 loss and they might have been higher up if they would have beaten Notre Dame. So the fact that they just have 2 losses And they've looked even better as the season kind of closed out. I go with the Cardinal.
They have gotten, ever since the Notre Dame game, and they switched quarterbacks, they have really got things going. I'm going with Stanford as well. I think they may even win this game by 21 points or more.
Yeah, they looked very scary. I'm glad Notre Dame got them when they did.
This is a bowl that is controversial, I guess, in some aspects. Probably might be the most lopsided bowl game we watch. Then again, they said the same thing a couple years ago when Boise State played Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl. You've got the Huskies of Northern Illinois, who are coachless. Second time in the BCS era that a team makes it to the BCS Bowl and loses their coach to another school. Can you name the other time?
Mm-mm.
I'll give you a hint. It's a little close to home.
Oh, was it Urban?
It was Brian Kelly.
Oh, wait.
12-0 Cincinnati plays in the Sugar
Oh,
Bowl.
yes. That was, 3 years ago? Sure.
Yep. So there you go. Northern Illinois coach Dave Doran headed to Carolina to take the North Carolina State job. Northern Illinois, just off a MAC win, snuck into the BCS by, they're ahead of a couple of Big East schools, and that's why they sneak in. They had to buy 17,500 tickets.
Which is scary because their home attendance average is just around 15.
Yeah. They're playing Florida State, who are faster, bigger, stronger, and will annihilate the Huskies.
Yeah, we'll see if David versus Goliath here. I mean, it happened a couple years ago when Utah did it against Alabama.
Alabama as well,
but
yeah.
Utah, a little tougher, I think, as far as things go. And I would love to see the Huskies pull this one off, but I'm going to do something I hate doing, and that's pick the team from Florida and go with State.
Got a name to watch out for in this game, though. Jordan Lynch, he's the quarterback for the Huskies. A lot of people put him on their Heisman ballots. That's how much of a fantastic year he had for the Huskies. Watch out for him. You never know. Stranger things have happened. That's why they play the game, right? But I'm going Florida State as well. I think they win big in this bowl game, the Discover Orange Bowl. Moving on to the All-State Sugar Bowl featuring Charlie. I can't remember his name. Is it Charlie Smart? No, that's not right. Who's the coach for Louisville?
I don't know.
Charlie Strong. I knew it was an S word. It's Charlie Strong. Why am I hosting this show, Kev?
I'm taking Florida in this ball game, even though I don't like taking. I was just growing up. I was always kind of raised through my dad to not like the teams from Florida, because of the hurricane and then Bobby Bowden in '93 and Spurrier. No one really cared for him, but when you just look at the team on paper, Florida's arguably, they could put in a big argument that they're the second best team in the country. But just the way rankings fall, they fall to 3, and I'm going with them here.
Louisville is a co-Big East champion with Cincinnati and among others. Basically, if you played in the Big East, you were a co-champion this year, it seems. But I think they may be out of a coach as well. A lot of rumors about Strong headed to Tennessee, possibly Vanderbilt. I'm going to go Florida, though. I think they have too much defense for the Cardinals. Louisville falling off towards the end of the year. They started off 9-0 and lost 3 out of their last 4. So I'll go with Florida in this game. The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl features what could be the most entertaining game in all of the bowls. At the high-powered Oregon Ducks against Colin Klein and his Heisman candidacy. The Kansas State Wildcats out in Arizona. This really could be a high-scoring affair.
Yeah, these teams both were ranked 1 and 2 ahead of Notre Dame weeks back. Both fell on that night, and it's now here they are, kind of consolation prize time, each with 1 loss playing in the Fiesta Bowl. I'll take the Ducks.
I went with Ducks as well. I think it won't even be close. We saw what Baylor did to them, and Baylor's fast.
I just think that it's Oregon, the only way they can be stopped, we saw, was that to face a really good defense. I saw nothing of the sort from Kansas State.
No, I'm going Oregon, and I'm going big. That might even be a 30-point win. I mean, that's saying a lot.
If it is, it'll be 80-56.
Yeah, no kidding. Because Oregon doesn't have a great defense either.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, that's going to be a shootout.
Yeah.
Right, bet it.
The AT&T Cotton Bowl being played at Jerry World, featuring the Aggies of Texas A&M of the SEC taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. So this will be an old Big 12 reunion game.
Yeah, Johnny Football and the Aggies with 2 losses, Oklahoma with just 2 losses. Oklahoma lost just to Notre Dame and Kansas State, and I'll take Oklahoma in this one.
Kevin Sumlin came from Oklahoma by way of Houston, so he's got Oklahoma ties. The Heisman winner, and I'm just speculating, that Johnny Football will win the Heisman. The Heisman winner historically does not do well in these bowl games.
Yeah, especially as of late.
The only thing that may save him is that he's a freshman. So it's not like he's got draft stuff to worry about. It's not like he's got all the other distractions as far as post-football.
Yeah, he's not playing for his next job.
Right. I think that Oklahoma wins, but I think that Johnny Football will actually have a good game and keep them in the game. So I'll go Oklahoma, but it'll be close.
That'll be a good matchup.
Yeah. The BBVA Compass Bowl featuring the Panthers of Pittsburgh and the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, a little story about Pittsburgh. Obviously, Pitt helped us this year by missing a field goal in overtime. Pitt, coached by Paul Chryst, with ties to Wisconsin. If Paul Chryst gets the job at Wisconsin, who was a coordinator there for a long time, Pitt will be looking for their 6th head coach since 2010.
Wow.
Do that math.
I can't.
That's 2 coaches a year.
Wow. It's pretty impressive that he can even go 500 with that much turnover.
So I'm going to go...
Going to go with Ole Miss just because you're speculating.
He may or may not be.
Yeah.
I'll go Ole Miss as well because I don't think Pitt's that good. The fact they played this close was a little disappointing as well. The GoDaddy.com Bowl featuring Kent State, who were an overtime win away from being in a BCS bowl game.
Yeah, they could have been where Northern Illinois is.
Taking on the Arkansas State team, who is now without a coach because Gus Malzahn took the job at Auburn. And it's a possibility that Kent State may not have a coach as well. So, who you got?
I'm going to go with the MAC on this one.
No action.
Kent State.
All right.
But this game's always funny to me. It's not always the GoDaddy, but it's always some random bowl game they squeeze in there right before the title game just so everyone doesn't cut football off cold turkey.
Right.
But this is your warm-up to the big game.
I remember this game a couple years ago featuring a Marshall team led by Byron Leftwich against the East Carolina team before Skip Holtz. But I remember this game finishing 64-61. At one point, Marshall was down by 28 or something along those lines. It was a lot. And Leftwich brought them back, and they won in regulation, 64-61.
Yeah, there's been some of those games where they just become crazy shootouts over the past few years in some of these bowl games where they just, throw the playbook out and it's just start gunslinging. So that's one thing that's fun about some of these matchups.
So you're going Kent State?
Yeah, I'm going to support the MAC.
And last but not least, now this is not our official prediction. We're just obviously going to pick Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But it's the last bowl game. You and I both go on Notre Dame. Again, we will preview the national championship game with a show probably January 2nd or 3rd. So be on the lookout for that. But obviously, we're all going to be taking Notre Dame in this game. But I'm looking forward to the matchup against Alabama.
Yeah, definitely. We're not going to get into details right now, but that's the final game in college football this season, besides obviously your East-West and your Shrine games. Yeah. But Notre Dame, Alabama, for all the marbles.
It'll be a good one. Looking forward to it. And again, if you want to be in our bowl pick'em this year, that web address is spnt.tv/pick'em. It's $10. We'll split it up depending on how many entries we get. If you're interested or you have questions and you're not sure how to get signed up, email me at feedback@irishimpact.com. You can also get in touch with us via Twitter. We're at Irish Impact. No show next week or the week after. In fact, for the next couple weeks. We hope everybody has a fantastic Christmas. Again, thank you to everybody who has tuned in over the season, our first season of Irish Impact. We're not done yet. We've got a couple more shows left. We'll do the show before the game and one after that. But again, Merry Christmas to everybody. We hope everybody has a great holiday. Kev, hope you and your family have a fantastic holiday as well.
Yeah, you as well. And I mean, a lot to be grateful for this year. Notre Dame playing for a national championship. Everyone enjoy the holidays. Be safe. And we'll talk to you before the title game on the 7th, and have a good holiday. Win one for the Gipper.
One last shout out before we go, and I'm sorry that I didn't get to our shout outs, but I got to give a big shout out to my alma mater, Big Moeller High School, winning their 8th state title over the weekend. It was great. Got to see Jerry Faust. That was cool. It's always great seeing him looking dapper as ever. The former Notre Dame coach.
I watched it.
Were you rooting for Whitmer? Be honest.
No, I was pretty impartial.
All right.
I'm from Toledo, but I'm not from Toledo-Whitmer. So I went to St. John's. So.
That's true. But yeah, again, big ups. Congratulations. I didn't get to see Coach Crable. I'm not sure if he was there or not. Obviously, Bob Crable, the great All-American from Notre Dame, former head coach at Bowler. But again, congratulations. 8 state titles is a lot, and it was a lot of fun catching up with some old classmates as well. And that is going to do it for this edition of Irish Impact. Again, email us feedback@irishimpact.com. Until 2013, for Kevin Werner, I'm Nick Stribling. We'll see you next time on Irish Impact. Irish Impact is an SPNT production. For more information about our other podcasts, log on to spnt.tv.